Talking about death is never easy, and trying to explain what it means to your children is a particularly difficult task. Well, the picture book, Badger's Parting Gifts, tries to help adults approach the subject of loss in a comfortable way with their children. It was first released 35 years ago today, and to date has sold over 4 million copies around the world, helping so many parents and children. The author and illustrator, Susan Varley, is here in the studio with us. We're also joined by Jo Coombs and her son, Joe. Joe lost his dad 2 years ago, Joe's husband, of course. Welcome to you all. Good morning.
Good morning.
Right, let's start with you, Joe, shall we? We'll start with you and Badger's Parting Gifts. Why did you like this book so much?
I liked it because it helps a lot of people, and it's amazing. Like if you do really fun stuff with it, you can. If you just read it, you can remember that your person. If anyone has died out of your member of your family, you can remember that they're happy, and up in heaven, and they're happy and they feel better now.
Yeah. How did it help you? Because you must have been very sad. So you sat down with your mum to read this book. How did it make you feel reading it?
It made me feel. Well,
you enjoyed the storylines, didn't you?
Yeah, I enjoyed the story, and it made me think a lot, because when it happened, it just makes me think, and
you were very sad at the time, weren't you? But
yeah.
Now you realise that it's okay to be happy and remember.
Yeah.
Remember the happy times.
Yeah.
Joe, what was it like for you to have a book written by Susan that could help you talk about your husband with Joe? Because it must have been so difficult to even start talking about the subject.
Well, I have 4 children. They're all different ages.
Oh, right.
From 20 down to 7. So they've all got different needs. So when approaching a 7-year-old is completely different from a teenager. So it is difficult, although they do take things, you know, as you're telling them, and they do absorb everything. But actually having a visual aid to actually sit down, spend some time with your child anyway to read is brilliant. But to actually sit and read a story about death, and about the after effects of death and how people deal with that, and realising that you shouldn't feel guilty about being happy, and remembering that the memories are always there and the love's always there. So it's a great help.
Susan, 35 years since first being in print, 4 million copies sold. I mean, it's clear that there's a message in here that spans continents. I think it's translated into, it's been released in 16 other languages as well. Tell us how it came about. How did you sit down to write and draw, obviously?
Well, initially it was a college project, and the idea from it came from my tutor at the time, Tony Ross, who does a lot of illustrated books, you know, most famous probably for David Williams' books. And I needed something to do. He'd seen a picture of my badgers, and he had an idea running around in his head, and said, oh, OK, you can use it if you want to, and he very graciously let me use it and let me do what I wanted with it. So, yeah, so we never expected it to be published. He encouraged me to take it to a publisher. Anderson Press took it on, and they believed in it and wanted it to be published, and they kept it in print for 35 years.
Can you give us some of the story? How does it help explore these issues?
It's quite open in that people can put their own interpretations on it. Really, the badger has shown his animal friends something just simple like cutting or tying a knot or something like that. And when they start to talk about him, they realise the things that they've given him are still with them. So really, the person is still with them, that they're still important in their lives, even if physically they're not there.
Yeah. I mean, Joe, how important were those kind of messages in the book? What did you and Joe take out of that book?
Oh, they're really important, because the way the book's written as well, it's done so lovingly and it's done so gently that actually when you're reading it with your child, it's not intrusive in any way, and it just reiterates the fact that you can you know, grieve and you can talk about these things. And it doesn't make the subject of death a difficult one, because it shouldn't be. It's part of life. So, and although it was a hard time, actually having this book as a reference, if you like, and we go back to it and we read it often. And I also see Joe flicking back through the pages to little, you know, depending on how he's feeling, what resonates in him at the time. So it's great. It's a great support, actually, and it's a good way to actually, it's a conversation starter. So, you know, always speaking, always talking and working things out that way. The book's fantastic.
Well, the two Joes, thank you very much for coming in to talk to us.
Thanks
and
for having
Susan
us.
as well. We didn't name check your little friend. Who's that?
It's Winnie the Pooh.
Winnie the Pooh. OK, Winnie the Pooh was here on the programme, as well as Badger. There you go, a little extra treat. Have a lovely morning.
Thank you
very
so much.
for
Thank
joining us
you.
here on Sunrise. Going to take a look at the weather now.